Hello, Jaanvi. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going with you?
Wonderful, wonderful. So, welcome to this new podcast of Values Bookshop. Um, in a very short space of introduction, I'll tell you what we do. We land up talking about in this particular series is called the other side of. So, the other side of an assistant director is what I'm going to call your episode. We talk about values that we experience in everyday life or ethical
Hmm.
decisions that we have to take. But this is not hard and fast. It may get into some personal or professional space or a mix of the two. So I was thinking sometime back when I was setting up, that's the only time I give myself some time to think about what will be the first question.
Hmm.
But today my light wasn't working properly. So now
Hmm.
I'm making up the question as we go along.
Okay.
Um, what does an assistant director actually do? And in your experience, I don't want to know the technical definition of it.
Hmm. Um, I've been more of a director's assistant than an assistant director, but I've also spent a few projects assistant directing. Most of all, it's bringing an idea to life, to put it in a very vague manner, but to go into specific, it's mainly communicating a director's vision to different heads of departments and actually bringing all of it to life. When a director throws an idea, let's have a dog on set, you actually bring a dog on set. You figure uh, what kind of a leash is the dog wearing, what kind of a dog is it. Simple things like that. You figure out costumes, you figure out props, you make sure it's all there on set, you make sure it's aligned with the direction and the production team, and you kind of make sure that it's all up and ready for the shot during the shoot day. So in a way, you make sure that the shoot happens with everybody aligned in a way on the same page, and the shoot kind of happens and wraps on time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this sounds like an invitation to Murphy's Law because everything that can go wrong shall go wrong.
Always, we are the punching bags on all shoots. Anything goes wrong, where's the second AD? That always happens on shoot. So you have to be always in your senses and always ready to, always alert, I'd say. I think most of all, you have to be very alert and very communicative so that at the end, things don't fall on you. You're not accountable. You've always done your job, and it's always relayed and communicated to different teams.
Uh, I want to go into the nuance of this answer that you gave, if possible.
Hmm.
How much of it is being a control freak and how much of it is your genuine vision to communicate?
For me personally, I have been a communicative person in general. When I see there's scope for miscommunication, when I see people are not aligned, it frustrates me a lot. Very, uh, very badly put and slightly off topic. Even when in movies, I see that there's a whole trope and a whole story revolving around miscommunication between people. It really frustrates me, and I feel like I want to break the screen and I want to enter the world and I want to tell these two characters that, hey, you guys are aligned, just speak to each other, have a word. So to me, it comes very naturally when I do my job, when I'm communicating what my director wants to say, a costume designer or a production designer. It's just my natural state of being. I like communicating. I like keeping things clear. I like adding my own touches. So one thing I've also noticed is uh, the profile that I work in is not as creative as you imagine. It's more of a managerial and a communicative job. So you have to sense check and remind yourself from time to time that you're in this for the longer haul. You're in this because you want to someday bring your vision to life. So it's always a nicer thing to better the things you are communicating. It's always nicer to bring your own vision to some degree in any project possible. So that's something that you have to do proactively, because if you get into an autopilot, then you are just busy communicating things to five teams. So it's something you do proactively. Yeah.
Uh, I'll go into that a little later, perhaps. Um, what happens when you fail?
What happens when you?
Fail.
Fail to do what? To bring your vision?
Communication. No, communication. And I want to know a real life example, even if it is personal and if you can share on screen, obviously.
Uh,
Is there a point
hmm,
now, earlier, college life, whenever, where
hmm.
you felt that this is a big deal? Why did it become a big deal for you?
Just give me a second to think about an instance. Okay, something on the top of my mind that's roaming around my mind for a bit right now is the very last project I did, which was like 24 hours ago. Uh,
Hmm.
I forgot to check the nail polish of a protagonist, and there were like hand shots, and that was something that missed my mind. But I think I should have also communicated it time and again, and not only communicated but also rechecked. But when something like this happens, I do feel guilty for a while. I do feel bad about it. But most of all, I've realized that if I dwell upon it for longer, it's not going to go anywhere, and I'm most likely to repeat this in the next project as well. So then I start thinking of solutions. I think of, okay, I have like this I have my own group on WhatsApp where I keep posting reminders, where I keep making to-do lists that, hey, communicate this to that guy and this to that guy. So I just think that I'll be more diligent from the next time. I'll keep making more notes and I'll be more alert. But I think I try to land onto a solution-driven thought process sooner, because dwelling upon it won't uh, get me anywhere. Although it may happen that 2 days later, there's like a small trigger point. I may just trip over some cupboard somewhere, and then I'll become very sad that, oh my God, what happened? And I realize that's just a trigger point. What's actually been subconsciously on my mind is that error. So I just feel it's a process. I mean, you figure it.
I want you to go a little deeper. My question comes from a mental space point rather than uh, the immediate.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
why is communication so important to you? What has driven you to become like this? Like very often, I find now at the stage that I am in life, when I turn around and I see the points where things became what they did, and then I became like this, and this is how
Hmm.
I started thinking.
Hmm.
I have a teenage kid, so this happens more often than you would want to know. My
Right.
kid provokes all those things. So why this? Why that? And I have to go very deep within that. If I have to be a good parent, I
Hmm.
need to know my answers to
Correct.
certain questions, and they cannot be stock answers to ready questions.
Right.
They have to be real. They have to be authentic.
Correct.
So, coming from that mind space,
Hmm.
why is communication so important to you? I'll also come to what you did here, and I want to dwell a little bit on that. But before that, can you try and get into some mind space where you realize that communication worked for you very early in life,
Hmm.
or it didn't, or it kind of gave you the perspective that you needed?
Uh, More than it being an experience in life or what I have gone through, it's more about what I've observed about people around me, my
Okay.
family, friends. Don't want to get into the details, but what I
Yeah.
can tell you is I've seen people very dear to me not be vocal about what they want, what they feel like, their reactions, and I've seen people suppress their emotions on just like situations and life experiences that happen to them, and I've seen it does channelize eventually in life at any later given point. And I feel like the time between you suppressing your emotion and you eventually expressing it, uh, like there are again like a bunch of misunderstandings that develop, and then you have to spend a lot of time in resolving them, breaking walls, getting clear with uh, any person that you're interacting with, whether it be a family member, your partner, whoever. So I feel it's a lot of time wasted. I feel people being misunderstood in general. I mean, I don't know if I can't think of an instance if that's happened very personally to me, but for some reason I'm very sensitive towards it, that I don't like it when I'm misunderstood or somebody else is. And I feel like just in that instant there should be clear communication, and there should people should just be aligned. So I feel it does come from a personal space and personal observations about people and relationships. Yeah.
Wonderful. Uh, Thank you for being so clear on that. I have one more provocation coming up for that. I have too many of them, so I'm trying to keep them queued up. uh, this sense of control of communication,
Yeah.
how often do you feel betrayed by it? No matter how much you try, sometimes something or the other is going to slip, like the nail polish did. Nail
Hmm.
polish is just a manifestation. I don't want you to get stuck to it. It's
Ah,
not the example that I mean. But
yeah.
I'm saying, suppose we are the best of friends and you mean something, oh, we are going to meet here and I'm going to come and see you there.
Yeah.
But you thought it was this time, I thought it was that time, or something, whatever.
Yeah.
Or we were watching this movie or that, or anything like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
People get misunderstandings can happen on anything, and today
Correct.
we are oversensitive to everything in the world, and so
Yeah.
so in that sense, how often do you get betrayed by this need of yours to feel communicative and having being understood or not being understood, or are you successful? First question is that.
Hmm. Hmm. I think there are two parts to this question. Being betrayed by this compulsive need for communication. I don't feel. Do you, by that question, do you mean how often do I fail to communicate? Is that what you mean?
No, it can be either way. It could be you have communicated well, like
Hmm.
you've done everything in your power, but I
Yeah.
refuse to understand you. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Said red and I got a maroon kerchief. I called maroon red in my entire life. I do not know what is the difference. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens very often on shoots, in fact.
Yeah, that is very true. On
So,
shoots, thankfully, you can always cross-check. In life, you can't.
true.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, when what I want to say doesn't translate, when the communication, no matter how much, how best an effort I put, it doesn't yield into like whatever result I was expecting. Uh, there's a lot of disappointment, of course, but eventually I feel like if I know that I've done my best to sort of I think there are two sides to this again. If I know I've put my best and still the message is not clear, in a way it's reassuring because I know I did everything I could. But in a way it's extremely sad because no matter what I did, it didn't translate, right?
True.
So there's no guilt because you know you tried your best, but also there's this helplessness that you can't do anything about it, right? Like it your message hasn't gone through, you have been misunderstood, and sometimes in fact I've also been blamed for being very over communicative, explaining things a lot, giving explanations for things that are not needed, right?
I'm coming to that.
Yeah, so despite that, when I feel misunderstood, I think my coping mechanism then becomes explaining this whole situation or this whole instance to some near one who will understand who I am. I just want किसी को तो वो सफाई मिल जाए that hey, I'm coming from this place. That's what.
Okay.
So if the person I intend to communicate it to doesn't get it, I at least try to narrate this whole thing to some near one who will get it, and then I'll get like a peaceful sleep. Yeah, I think that's what it's
Okay.
all about.
Second thing is the part that you mentioned about people complaining that you're over communicative at times.
Yeah,
Um, that was communicated by you any which ways when you said you make lists. Uh, but having said that, I will not say that you need not make lists because uh, in the job that you are, it is required. In many jobs,
yeah,
it is requirement that you, especially if there are many small things that need to be done, then they need to be ticked.
correct.
Um Now I'm going to the next part of my provocation here.
Hmm.
I did mention, but when it is between you and the other person is not wanting to understand or
Hmm.
not understanding, but not wanting to is not the point. Maybe they come from a different mind space.
Correct.
But where life is life, there is a third thing called life. You
Hmm.
plan and you
Hmm.
over plan and you do everything,
Hmm.
and then shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you suppose everything that you ticked there uh, has gone out of your
Hmm.
control?
Hmm.
There are
Hmm.
10 things you were supposed to do. And for a little while, I want you to get into the mind space without getting very overworked right now on screen. That all 10 have not worked
Work.
out.
Hmm.
And there are days like those that happen. What would, in that hypothetical situation, what would your reaction be? I want you to take a breath and actually look into your mind space and tell me what is it that you would do. Say today we were about to do this and suddenly there is some small thing, somebody has come, some relative has come and in the other room and they are insisting to put on the TV at their loudest and you can't do much because they
Yeah,
cannot be told no, and it's some small thing like that.
correct.
And it's out of your control and you know that we've been trying to plan this for a long time and you feel guilty about it and you like
Yeah,
all these tick marks, say, okay, this is done.
correct.
Now
Yeah,
this is not able to be done, then what? Then what would you do? And how would you make peace? You have no way out. Neither am I budging nor are those guys budging.
huh.
What would you do?
I cry a lot.
Oh, not on screen, I hope.
No, I won't. But I very often I get very furious when things don't go according to the plan. And unfortunately, I feel I've entered an industry where things don't go according to plans. Uh, so initially it used to get to me a lot. It still does. I don't think that'll, because I feel my core will remain the same to some degree. I feel it will keep bothering and I just have to make peace with it. But
Hmm.
I really end up victimizing myself when this happens. I feel like all of these people intended to ruin my plans for the day. I feel, and then I have this part of my brain that tells me that, listen, you are just furious. You have to be considerate about what place they are coming from. And nobody really wants to ruin your plans. It's just life. It's just people. They function differently and things happen. But for those good 60-ish minutes, like an hour or two, I really feel like victimizing myself. I feel like crying. I feel like I just feel like I'm very furious, basically. That's where my mind space is. I don't like it when I speak to somebody or when I'm ranting and somebody's giving me a solution, somebody's telling me, uh, hey, just think about it from the other person's perspective. I'm like, I'll do it, but I'll do it 2 hours later. For an hour or two, I want to just be sad and I do it. I sometimes stress eat. I impulsively grab a dessert or something. Eventually, then things calm down in my brain. I realize life is not so bad. It's okay. It was just one thing that didn't go my way. And then I sort of calm myself down. But I think that's what the process is like.
Okay. Were you a spoiled brat?
I wasn't. In fact, I was a very obedient kid, like a first bencher in school of sorts.
Good, we didn't meet in school.
Yeah.
Uh, is there a wiser part of you that you haven't accessed yet?
Mm, I don't know. I think I'll know with age. For now, I feel whatever life and experiences has taught me, I always try to be aware and try to practice whatever wisdom I've got. Uh, and I also am aware of the shortcomings where there's just this thought lingering around my brain that no matter how much you read about wisdom or how much you learn about wisdom, um it still doesn't assure that you'll practice it. And I've been realizing, okay, I've read books, or say I've read a lot of quotes, or say I've had really nice, intense discussions with my mother from her life experiences and her wisdom. And I've gained like a lot of knowledge and wisdom, but sometimes I do feel I fail to practice it. So I understand the gap that you can be wiser here and you're not being that. Why does it happen? I don't know. Maybe it's my age, maybe it's my impulse. But I feel with age and with experiences, I'll get wiser, of course. I mean, that's a given.
Mm. How do you look at your drawbacks?
I curse myself a lot. I self-deprecate a lot. Sometimes I go into a spiral and like a rabbit hole of all of my shortcomings. So like one drawback sort of sparks this whole process in my brain that, oh, but you're not good at this either, and you think you're good at this but you're not good at it either. So anyway, I don't think I'm a I I, uh, I have a lot of self belief, which is something I want to improve. But I end up going in a spiral, and that's bad. That goes downhill. That puts me in a very bad mood. And then what reassures me is that, okay, but I'm like a decent person. I do like a below average or an average job, and okay, I think that's okay to get going in life.
Uh, do you want to try an experiment at some point where you um, remind yourself of at least one point that is good while you are in this negative space of uh, next time when you have this kind of
Hmm.
spiral effect going downwards,
Hmm.
reminding yourself of one goodness which is inherently you, whatever it is,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
can work on that. And because a public platform is not where I would want to bring that up with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
be a little later when we speak or
Hmm.
something.
Correct.
But uh, one of the things that we do as meditators in some of the long courses that we undertake is
Hmm.
there are bad days, and there are days when you feel, oh, you're not able to sit for even a minute, and what are you talking hours?
Right. Hmm.
And at that point, we remind ourselves of the effort that we put in to become who we are,
Hmm.
and that's a good help that comes up. That is what I can think of. Why is this lack of kindness towards yourself, if I may ask? Why this necessity to be perfect? Um it started with communication, but now you're actually mentioning it as a deeper
Yeah.
symptom, if I were to call it that.
Hmm.
Why do you think it is there? Would you want to spend a minute on that? What is it?
Uh, I think it's genetic to some degree because my mother is the same person that I think, to some degree, of course, we are our own people, but I feel my mother also has this compulsive need to be perfect, and I feel I get that one aspect of my personality from her. Uh, but more importantly, I think I rely a lot on other people's approval. So I just recently read this meme on the internet that I shouldn't think about what other people think of me, right? Correct? Correct. So I
That's a
just
good
think,
one.
yeah, so I just think I'm that person that when I don't get an approval of at least like one person, like the validation or an approval that what I'm doing is correct or like okay. Uh, because I know that I'm very self-deprecating, I seek that from others, somebody to tell me that I'm doing okay. Uh, and then because I rely on other people's approval, I feel like this perfection syndrome, to badly put it, also comes from this thing that okay, what's their standard of perfect, what's their standard of me doing okay. So do I sort of I don't know, as I'm saying it, if I practice it very often, but then does it come from trying to match other people's standards of everything? What's correct, what's not, what's perfect, what's not? Does it come from trying to match that? But that is like a core struggle that I go through every day, and it's been around for a while.
One thing I can tell you, which is good, is this is one of the better, if not the best episodes I've had within like half an hour of what we've been
Oh,
talking, because of talking deep things, but with so much effervescence and happiness,
yeah.
which is a rare combination to have. So if you want to take that compliment and keep it and store it,
I'll use this when I'm going in the downward
yeah,
spiral. They'll be like, okay, at least that's
yeah. At least I am good, dramatic, and happy about it.
yeah.
Uh, were your parents tough taskmasters?
Mm, not really. By that, do you mean did they ask, or did they always have uh great expectations from me, if that's what you mean.
Did you have great expectations in terms of being up to something that they would have liked and you thought you weren't getting enough attention, perhaps? And this
Not
is probable, but I would want you to check on that.
not really. I feel I've gotten enough love, attention, care, pampering, all of it from them. But I feel it did come from school somewhere. I mean, during my schooling years, because since childhood, there was this need to top the class. I don't know. I don't know if it was inherent to me or if it was planted in me. But a very vivid instance that comes to my mind was that even when I was in my first grade or like KG, and when I used to get like an A grade instead of an O, uh, my father would like make fun of it, because he was this sport that, okay, when you like uh not coming from any bad intentions, but it's just ki अरे यार ए आया यार ओ नहीं आया, that kind of a thing. So he was never very serious about it or very like pressurizing about it, but I just feel like I took a lot of pressure from it. I felt like हाँ यार ए क्यों आया, ओ आना चाहिए था, that kind of a thing. So I always knew that it's not a very pressurizing thing from their end, but I just took it upon myself, that kind of a thing. So eventually, in my schooling years, as I grew up as well, I was in and around this super competitive environment where all of my friends were toppers and all of my friends were also like acing in extracurriculars. And because like these schooling years and educational institutes have become very commercialized these days, these classes come into the picture, these coaching classes in like your ninth and 10th grade, where like they sell 96% and they sell 94%. And I feel maybe that's where it began from, just trying to top the class or whatever. I think I and in general, I mean, I feel I've been competitive during my early years, not only in terms of academics, but even if say we're playing games and मुझे मैं हाउसी में नहीं जीती, that's plain luck, but I used to feel very bad about it. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's where my need for perfection stemmed for. Now my definition for perfection has changed. I segued from all of my classmates and took up arts and media and eventually came into this field. So of course the definition has changed, but the need to achieve it, I think, kind of remains.
Okay, one hypothetical question then.
Hmm.
Suppose you were first everywhere.
Hmm.
Then what?
Then I would think the standard these people have set is very low. Everybody in my class is very dumb. So then now I'm
Suppose, nahin, suppose even that has also been achieved. Then what?
no, I feel that's where I struggle. I always think
I
that if
say
I
you are equal to Spielberg,
hmm.
who won 3 Oscars and 5 Oscars, and all that
Yeah.
also happened.
Yeah.
Now then what? Now you're sitting and you actually mentally imagine yourself.
Hmm.
It has been done. The world has given you the stamp that you're okay.
Yeah.
You are above average and you are being felicitated with lifetime honor, whatever that they give the best.
Correct.
अभी क्या?
Frankly, I'm reminded of two things here. One, what naturally happens to me is I'll look at Spielberg's influences and I'll be like, oh, I'm still not there yet. I just think I'll find something better, and that cycle will never stop where I feel that I'm okay. Like right now, I feel that's like a great thing, but if ever, however, if I get there, I'll feel like, so what? Because if I have achieved it, it's achievable by anybody, that kind of a thing. It's that. And the other thing that comes to my mind is I was reading this book about this director, Hitchcock का एक book था, and this French director François Truffaut was interviewing him, and he was like, after making so many great films, how do you feel about yourself every day? And like very badly put, but basically after leaving such a long legacy and after experimenting and creating the craft in a way of thriller films, how do you feel? And he's like, what I felt 40 years back. If I make a good film, I like it, but if I don't, then I feel really bad about myself. So I feel like no matter where I get uh in life, I think I'll just keep feeling bad, and I just want to solve for that, but that's something I'm yet to discover yet, if I
This
feel.
writer, I don't seem to remember his name, and when he was on his deathbed, the priest came and asked him, I think it was Henry Thoreau, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure, and asked him, Henry, have you made your peace with God?
Hmm.
He says, but Father, I never fought with him.
Hmm.
And I think he himself has also given another example that one day a sparrow came and sat on his finger or something like that. He says, I have never received an accolade better than that in
Hmm.
my life. And I would want you to spend a lot of time, not a little time, if
Hmm.
at all, on these aspects of life. And
Hmm.
uh, while what you're doing will help you right now, greed is a good thing to think when you are young, and
Hmm.
ambition also is a good friend to have. But having a little bit of healthy laughter at yourself should be par for the course,
Yeah.
because life sometimes, my understanding so far,
Hmm.
life sometimes loves to think, okay, this is the standard that you're setting, and this is the one thing I will not give you. And it will keep testing you till the time you
Hmm.
really are authentic about it. And then you may
Yeah.
actually conquer it, but you will not have that, because the peaks you're aspiring for will
Hmm.
come with a trough. There is no way around it. You'll go
Yeah.
up, so you have to come down. But
Yeah.
if you're coming to a point where I'm okay with the experiences and I'm living see the beauty of the job that you do, if I
Hmm.
were to
Hmm.
bring you to the other part that I have still not asked you, is the writing down of each and every part. Okay, I have to communicate this and this and this, is the fact that you just need to be alert.
Yeah.
You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be alert.
Correct. Hmm.
And to be alert, you need to be present.
Yeah. Hmm.
You cannot, because sometimes you may miss writing in that list. So
Hmm.
you may actually, making a list is a good thing in the job that you are. I would never
Hmm.
deny that, because you have too many things that you will be doing,
Hmm.
even as a director for that matter.
Hmm.
Because that would include you giving some instruction to some Janvi,
Right.
some point of time. Uh, and it's a good thing, because I think when I talk about the values workshops, discipline is a good thing, aiming for perfection is a good thing. Because that perfection is an ideal that will never be fulfilled, is something to be known right in the heart of when you are aspiring for it. Not
Yeah.
later, once you, like a Hitchcock can claim that, and it comes across as humble and uh, what Zen calls the beginner's mind.
But it takes a toll on your brain.
No, it can be a happy way. No? When you are in the beginner's mind, when the Zen
Hmm.
masters talk about beginner's mind, they say that never be sure of what you are getting into.
Of course. Yeah. Hmm.
So that is good enough for you to be on your. And as far as uh, faults are concerned, let us also do our job. The world is very good at finding fault with everyone.
Correct.
We are not
Yeah.
going to spare you.
Yeah.
So don't do our job for us.
That is
You
true.
be good to yourself. That is a prima facie thing, because that is the vibe you will bring in a creative job. Because what will otherwise happen?
Hmm.
It, every creative is unsure, finds himself or herself incapable at times, and
Yeah.
a job itself is too many people coming together, trying to get one vision done.
Correct.
And luckily, you work for an organization that is doing
Hmm.
a consistently good work for a
Yeah.
long time now.
Hmm.
Uh, but having said that, when one sees the work, there is either happiness or there is quote unquote perfection.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
the product is perfect, but something I'm looking and I'm not getting.
Correct.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I would rather see that the people who are working on it are happy in a creative space.
Hmm.
I just had a meeting an hour back with a guy
Hmm.
I work very regularly with.
Hmm.
Um, and he told me, design can calm people down.
Hmm.
And he was talking about some experiences about space design that he just done,
Hmm.
experimented with in his house. And
Hmm.
I said, but it is still the other way around. A calm person can design in a manner where it calms
Right.
people down.
Yeah.
You have to come from a space of being sure,
Correct.
comfortable,
Yeah.
happy, and
Yeah.
then you can be unsure about all of this as well. It's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But having the standard of saying "Ki I need to be right
Hmm.
and then being frustrated that I'm not right, and
Correct.
then adding to the frustration and 1 or 2 hours is bad.
Yeah. It's bad.
Is bad. I think more than 10 minutes is bad already, and
Yeah.
1 or 2 hours is will take a toll on you very badly at some point.
It's true. Yeah.
And it is not worth it. For a film, something which 16,000 films get made in 16,000 corners of the world every day. Now with a phone, I think you can multiply that exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it does not matter. Have you put your love into it? Have you put your heart into it? Have you been happy? Have you been alert? Have you been aware? Have
Correct.
you been true to the vision that you're getting at every moment about it is what the condition should be. And that
Correct.
will only happen if you are able to be calm
Yeah.
and in control of your. Because you said you started the question answer session saying that you love being a communicator.
Yeah.
But communication is about these things. It is not about saying the right thing.
Yeah.
And if you will realize the people we love the most or we spend the most time with understand more with a gesture than with all the words that we can say.
Yeah.
So it may be true that you are over communicating because you find the gap within yourself.
You're right.
So you
Like
can,
you actually want to communicate with yourself, but you're doing it through some other person, maybe.
it could be that, but
Mm.
someday I cannot actually guide you on that because I as a writer have found that people when I'm talking to you and I'm making you write a line which I'm these days we have mobile phones, but a lot of stuff was done on landlines earlier.
You're right.
At that point of time, I would say that THAT, and you would say, "What do you think I am?"
Hmm.
But I would rather be sure than this that I wanted to write that because I don't want a newbie to write DAT like they write these days.
Right.
No, I
Right.
don't want any of that to happen. Unless I
Correct.
want you to write DAT because I'm communicating that.
Huh.
So things like those happen. And now, 1 or 2 aspects to your job
Hmm.
that you are such a complex person in this sense, only in this sense. I don't mean it generic because
Correct.
whatever I've interacted with you, I hardly 2 or 3 times, whatever, 1 or 2 times.
Hmm.
I find that you are a fabulous communicator, by the way,
Thank you.
because you immediately say what you mean.
Yeah, I
Use the
tried.
right words, you struggle to use the right words.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't know about the internal struggle till now, but you use them very impactfully. And it has worked. And I know this because the space that we worked together in for that one brief moment
Hmm.
was a difficult question to answer.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So getting the right words by itself shows that you're good with it.
Yeah.
Because those spaces aren't defined. And they
Correct.
weren't defined by me either when I was asking those questions.
Correct.
Um,
Hmm.
so the complexity of all this that runs in your head, how do you ensure that you are aiding the creative process? Do you think you are doing a good job there? Or sometimes do you think it hinders your creative inputs?
Um, I again, like it's a lot of wisdom I've read on the internet that, despite self-doubt, move, things like that. Or don't, or like take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And I feel in our industry, the lines sort of blur away because what we do and who we are kind of coincide. And especially when you direct, it's very close when you write and when you direct, it's in a way a reflection of your personality. So it gets difficult. But I feel like I'll save all of this complexity for when I have to make something and when it will just cause me trouble and not the team. I mean, so when I'm aiding a creative, uh, my best foot forward is not being so complex and not being so troubled, and my best foot forward is just communicating and um just communicating, aiding the creative process, as you say, creatively, and just not taking myself very seriously. So it takes a lot to not take what I'm saying very seriously. But I try to practice it, especially when I'm assisting somebody. And I think it's a two-way thing, because the people I'm working with also know where I'm coming from, know how experienced I am, know my background. And even if, say, I do give in like a shitty input or a bad idea, it won't be treated very badly, right? Like, because we all of us spitball bad ideas and all of that. So I know that it I won't be sort of judged very hardly for what I say. So that kind of helps. It eases the whole process for me, and it's easier for me to give my inputs. But it takes a lot of this self dosage of, hey, listen, it's okay, just chill out and just like go for it, that kind of a thing. So it takes a lot of work, and I try to put in that work to whatever degree possible.
Why does it take a lot of work?
Uh, because if you do give in an idea, one, it's a reflection of yourself, as I said earlier, and if somebody has super good memory and if that they hold it against you that अरे इसने तो वो time पे वो ऐसा कुछ तो फालतू सा idea दिया था, you are just scared of your whole impression for like a long time, right? Uh, but that's the thing about ideas. I think you just spit it out and move on to better ones. So, but it still takes a lot of work, just because I have this I'm very sensitive to my image, I think. Yeah.
Even if toppers don't love themselves enough, I don't think there's too much hope in the world.
Correct. Yeah,
मतलब
I think maybe they are toppers for a reason. Because they
uh,
want to sort of reach somewhere. So I think that's the reason, this whole need for perfection, maybe.
yeah, it is a good thing, but well, I've been trying to tell my kid that it is about happiness. The journey should
Of
never be
course,
about
of
happiness.
course. I mean,
And
that's
this
what
is
I'm
some
telling you, right? Like I know this wisdom and I've read about it, but for me to practice it takes a lot. So of course I know that at the end life is about happiness and things like these, and not if you got like the nail paint right or whatever. It's not about that. But to actually practice it takes a lot.
one little input there would be that if you are allowing other people to be kind to you, whenever you are judging yourself, you can add that kindness there also. So
Yeah.
if there is a split personality that you have
Hmm.
this whole I need to be perfect,
Yeah.
and you are harming the little Janvi inside who's saying कि अरे I tried my best यार छोड़ दे अभी क्या है.
Yeah.
So at that point you should remind yourself, well, those biggies who are more experienced than you think that this is no big deal, then
Hmm.
you also need to
Hmm.
remind yourself this is no big deal.
Correct. Yeah.
The same wisdom can apply, so it's not read, it is experienced
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your this. Uh, one last thing,
Hmm.
if you were to be remembered, what would make you happiest being remembered? I can give you another way to look at it.
Hmm.
Mostly it is understood as after we are gone, but I'm saying suppose you are alive and you meet everyone
Yeah.
today, whoever you met me for the first time some time back, and
Hmm.
we've had very few interaction.
Hmm.
What would you want me or somebody to remember you like? Like what is Jaanvi? How do you
Hmm.
and don't go in for that imagery thing. I want that deeper thing.
Hmm.
Okay, if things being perfect, I'm not judging you at all. And
Yeah.
I'm giving you exactly what you wanted. What would it be?
That I'm a kind person. I want to be a kinder person. I aspire to be a kinder person than I am, and I hope people think I'm a kind person. Yeah.
I want you to cut this part of the episode and keep it for yourself because all the rest can then go for a toss.
Oh, that's a lovely thing to do.
Because that entire thing then becomes so easy for you, and you come home to something that is as easy as just being kind. And you are a very kind person. I follow up with at any given point some 10 people to be on the podcast
Yeah.
as a guest, and
Mm.
COVID was very easy, but later it's been very difficult. And some people have been friends for years, but even they do not write back as often as you have. Seen, I have it on my mind. I'm going to come. Uh, and we spoke only once. I just
Yeah.
said we are going to do this, and that too on chat. I don't think we spoke also.
Yeah.
So if that is not kindness, I don't know what is. So thank you for being kind. Thank you for being authentic and honest. And it's been a wonderful chat. And I'm so glad to know you, even if it is through this broadcast episode. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I
it's
had fun.
nicer to pause and reflect and think about things every once in a while. And it's been a while since I've done it. So actually, I do it often, but yeah, it's nicer to have that chat with somebody whom you haven't interacted with so often. So thank you for this.
Thank you. I'll see you around.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah.